Tommy Martinez had always been different from other kids his age. While his classmates spent their afternoons playing video games or watching cartoons, Tommy preferred reading about space exploration and studying the stars through his telescope. His bedroom walls were covered with posters of distant galaxies and NASA missions. His dream was simple but grand. He wanted to be the first human to make contact with alien life. The 12-year-old never imagined that dream would come true on a Tuesday afternoon in downtown Portland. Tommy was walking home from the library, his backpack heavy with books about astronomy and biology. He had stayed later than usual, researching a school project about the possibility of life on other planets. The librarian, Mrs. Chen, had helped him find some fascinating articles about extremophiles, organisms that could survive in the harshest conditions imaginable. As he turned the corner onto 5th Street, Tommy noticed something odd happening near the small park where he usually stopped to eat his snacks. A crowd had gathered around one of the benches, but they weren't moving closer. Instead, people were keeping their distance, pointing and whispering to each other with worried expressions. Tommy's curiosity got the better of him. He pushed through the small crowd, ignoring the protests from adults who tried to pull him back. What he saw on the bench made his heart race, but not with fear, with excitement and concern. An elderly figure sat hunched over, clearly in distress. But this wasn't any ordinary old man. The being had pale blue skin with a slight shimmer to it, like moonlight on water. His features were humanoid, but distinctly different. Larger eyes that seemed to hold ancient wisdom, and delicate hands with 6 fingers instead of 5. He wore simple clothes that looked normal enough, probably to blend in with humans, but Tommy could see they weren't quite right for someone his size. Most shocking of all, the being was clutching his chest and struggling to breathe. His large eyes were wide with panic, and a soft musical sound escaped his lips, clearly words in a language Tommy had never heard before. "Someone call 911!" a woman in the crowd shouted. "What if it's contagious?" another person worried. "Maybe we shouldn't get too close," suggested a man in a business suit. Tommy felt a surge of frustration at the adult's hesitation. While they stood around debating what to do, this being, this incredible, impossible being, was suffering right in front of them. The boy's mind raced through everything he had learned about emergency first aid from his scout meetings and the medical shows his mom watched. The symptoms were clear: chest pain, difficulty breathing, sweating despite the cool afternoon air. Whether this being was human or not, it looked like he was having a heart attack. Without thinking about the consequences, Tommy dropped his backpack and rushed forward. Several adults called out for him to stop, but he ignored them. He knelt down beside the bench and looked directly into the alien's large, frightened eyes. "Hey, it's okay," Tommy said softly, trying to keep his voice calm and reassuring. "I'm here to help you." The being's eyes focused on Tommy with surprise. He said something in his musical language, his voice weak and strained. Tommy wished he could understand the words, but the meaning was clear from the being's expression. He was scared and in pain. The boy gently placed his small hand on the alien's shoulder, feeling the strange texture of his skin through the thin fabric of his shirt. "I know you can't understand me," Tommy whispered, "but you're having a heart attack. I need to help your heart keep pumping until the paramedics get here." Tommy had paid attention during the CPR demonstration at his scout meeting last month. He knew the basic steps, even though he had never imagined using them on an alien being. He carefully helped the elderly figure lie down on the bench, supporting his head. "I'm going to put my hands on your chest," Tommy explained, even though he knew the being couldn't understand English. "This might hurt a little, but it will help your heart." The alien nodded weakly, somehow understanding Tommy's intent, if not his words. Tommy placed his hands on the being's chest, feeling for the right position. The alien's anatomy seemed similar enough to human anatomy that the same technique should work. He began the chest compressions he had learned, counting aloud to keep the right rhythm. 1, 2, 3, 4. The crowd around them had grown larger, but Tommy blocked them out. Some people were taking pictures with their phones. Others were calling for emergency services, but the boy focused entirely on the task at hand. 15, 16, 17. The alien's eyes never left Tommy's face. Despite his pain, there was something like wonder in his expression, as if he couldn't believe this young human was helping him. Tommy continued the compressions, his arms beginning to ache from the effort. He could hear sirens in the distance, growing closer, but he couldn't stop now. The being's life depended on keeping his heart pumping. 28, 29, 30. Tommy tilted the alien's head back slightly to open his airway, just like he had been taught. He hesitated for just a moment, realizing he was about to give rescue breaths to an extraterrestrial being. But the being's labored breathing made the decision for him. He pinched the alien's nose closed and breathed into his mouth, watching as the being's chest rose and fell. The procedure felt surreal. But Tommy pushed aside his amazement and focused on the medical emergency. 2 breaths, then back to chest compressions. 1, 2, 3, 4. The paramedics arrived just as Tommy was starting his 3rd round of CPR. They rushed over with their equipment but stopped short when they saw what Tommy was working on. "Jesus," one of them muttered. Is that really—" "He's having a heart attack," Tommy said firmly, not stopping his compressions. "I've been doing CPR for about 5 minutes. His breathing was really bad when I started, but it's getting better." The lead paramedic, a woman with kind eyes and steady hands, knelt down beside Tommy. "You did great, kid. We'll take over now." Tommy moved aside but stayed close, watching as the medical team took over. They attached monitors to the alien's chest and started an IV line. The electronic equipment beeped and hummed, showing vital signs that looked remarkably similar to human readings. "Heart rate's stabilizing," one paramedic reported. "Blood pressure's coming up," said another. The alien being opened his eyes and looked around until he found Tommy in the crowd. He said something in his musical language, his voice stronger now, but still weak. "I think he's trying to thank you," the lead paramedic told Tommy with a smile. Tommy felt tears welling up in his eyes, partly from relief and partly from the overwhelming realization of what had just happened. He had not only met an alien being, but he had saved his life. The paramedics carefully loaded the alien onto a stretcher and into their ambulance. As they were about to drive away, the being raised one of his 6-fingered hands and pressed it against the window, looking directly at Tommy. The boy pressed his own hand against the glass from the outside, and for a moment, human and alien shared a connection that transcended language and species. As the ambulance disappeared around the corner, Tommy became aware of the chaos around him. The crowd had grown to nearly 100 people, all talking excitedly and pointing at him. News vans were already arriving, and reporters were pushing through the crowd with microphones and cameras. Kid, what's your name? How did you know what to do? Were you scared? What did the alien feel like?" Tommy's head spun with all the questions and attention. He picked up his forgotten backpack and tried to push through the crowd, but everywhere he turned, there were more cameras and more questions. A police officer appeared beside him, placing a protective hand on Tommy's shoulder. "Come on, son. Let's get you out of here and call your parents." As they walked toward the police car, Tommy couldn't stop thinking about the alien's eyes and the strange musical sound of his voice. He had so many questions. Where did the being come from? How long had he been on Earth? Were there others like him? Most importantly, would Tommy ever see him again? The police officer helped Tommy into the back seat of the patrol car and handed him a bottle of water. "You did something incredible today, son," the officer said. "That was real heroism." Tommy nodded, still processing everything that had happened. He looked out the window at the crowd of people and reporters still gathered around the park bench where he had performed CPR on an alien being. The normal Tuesday afternoon had turned into something that would change not just his life, but possibly the entire world. His phone buzzed with a text from his mom. "Heard something crazy on the news about aliens downtown. Hope you're safe. Love you." Tommy smiled despite his exhaustion. She had no idea that her 12-year-old son had just made first contact with an extraterrestrial being and saved his life. He typed back, "I'm fine. Got a ride with police. We'll explain everything when I get home." As the police car drove through the streets of Portland, Tommy pressed his face against the window and looked up at the afternoon sky. Somewhere out there were stars and planets he had only dreamed about, and now he knew for certain that Earth wasn't alone in the universe. The boy who had always dreamed of meeting aliens had no idea that his act of compassion would set in motion events that would change everything he thought he knew about humanity's place in the cosmos. But that was tomorrow's discovery. Today, Tommy Martinez had simply done what felt right. He had helped someone in need, regardless of what species they belonged to. And in doing so, he had proven something important about the human spirit that would soon echo across the galaxy. The Martinez household had never been so chaotic. Tommy's parents, Maria and David, sat on either side of their son on the living room couch, trying to process what they were hearing on every news channel. The story was everywhere. 12-year-old saves alien life with CPR. First contact in Portland Park. Boy hero performs miracle rescue. Tommy had explained everything to his parents when he got home, but seeing it on the news made it feel even more surreal. The shaky phone footage from bystanders showed him kneeling beside the alien being, performing chest compressions with the determination of someone much older. "Mijo," his mother said softly, using the Spanish nickname she had called him since he was little. "Do you understand how big this is? This isn't just about you helping someone. This is about proving that we're not alone in the universe." Tommy nodded, though he was beginning to realize that the implications went far beyond what he had imagined. His phone hadn't stopped buzzing with calls from reporters, and there were news vans parked outside their house. His father had closed all the curtains and turned off the porch light, but they could still hear voices outside. "The important thing," his father said firmly, "is that you did the right thing. You saw someone in trouble and you helped them. That's how we raised you, and I'm proud of you." Before Tommy could respond, there was a knock at the front door. It wasn't the aggressive knocking of reporters they had been ignoring all evening. This was softer, more polite. David peered through the peephole and frowned. "It's not reporters," he said quietly. "It looks like government agents." Tommy's stomach fluttered with nervousness as his father opened the door. Two people in dark suits stood on the porch, both holding official-looking badges. "Mr. Martinez." "I'm Agent Sarah Chen with a specialized federal task force. This is Agent Rodriguez. We need to speak with your son about what happened today." Tommy's parents exchanged worried glances, but Agent Chen quickly held up her hands in a reassuring gesture. "Tommy isn't in any trouble," she said with a genuine smile. "Quite the opposite. What he did today was extraordinary, and we have some information we think he would want to hear." The family invited the agents inside, and Agent Chen got straight to the point. "The being Tommy helped today is named Kelvarin," she began. "He's been living on Earth for 6 months, part of a small advanced team from a civilization called the Xanathi Collective. They've been observing our planet and our species, trying to determine if humans are ready for formal contact." Tommy leaned forward, his eyes wide with fascination. "You mean there are more of them? And they've been watching us?" Agent Rodriguez nodded. "The Xanathi have been watching many species across the galaxy. They're what you might call cosmic diplomats. They only make formal contact with civilizations that demonstrate certain qualities: wisdom, compassion, and the ability to help others even when there's nothing to gain from it. Tommy's actions today weren't just a rescue, Agent Chen continued. They were a test, not an intentional test. Kelvarin's heart attack was real and unexpected. But Tommy's response demonstrated something the Xanathi have been hoping to see in humans. Tommy's mother spoke up, her voice concerned. What exactly does that mean for our son? It means, Agent Chen said carefully, that Kelvarin has requested to meet with Tommy again. The Xanathi Collective wants to thank him personally, and they have an invitation for him. The room fell silent. Tommy could hear his own heartbeat and the distant sound of reporters talking outside. What kind of invitation? Tommy asked, his voice barely above a whisper. Agent Rodriguez smiled. They want to show him their ship. For the next hour, the agents explained everything they knew about the Xanathi. The alien civilization had been exploring the galaxy for thousands of years, not as conquerors but as observers and potential allies. They had watched humanity's development with particular interest, noting both the species' capacity for cruelty and its remarkable ability for compassion. The Xanathi don't make contact with species that haven't proven they can put compassion before self-interest, Agent Chen explained. They've seen too many civilizations destroy themselves or become threats to others. But Tommy's actions today, Agent Rodriguez added, demonstrated exactly what they've been looking for. A human child saw a being in distress, a being that was clearly different and potentially dangerous, and his first instinct was to help. Tommy thought about this, remembering how the adults in the crowd had hesitated while he acted. What about the other people? They were scared. Fear is natural, Agent Chen said, but overcoming that fear to help someone else, that's special. That's what the Xanathi have been hoping to see. The agents explained that Kelvarin was recovering well at a specialized medical facility. His condition had been critical, but Tommy's quick action had saved his life. The alien had specifically asked to meet with the boy who had helped him, and the Xanathi Collective had extended an unprecedented invitation. They want to show Tommy their technology, Agent Rodriguez said. Their ship is currently hidden in orbit around Earth, but they're willing to bring a shuttle down to a secure location. Tommy's parents looked overwhelmed. Is this safe? His father asked. The Xanathi have no history of violence, Agent Chen assured them. They're explorers and diplomats. If they wanted to harm Earth, they could have done it already. Instead, they've been waiting for proof that humans are worth knowing. Tommy's mind raced with possibilities. Meeting aliens, seeing their technology, maybe even learning about other worlds. It was everything he had ever dreamed about. But he could see the worry in his parents' faces. Can my parents come with me? He asked. The agents smiled. Kelvarin specifically requested that your family be included, Agent Rodriguez said. He was impressed not just by your actions, but by the values that led to those actions. He wants to meet the parents who raised such a compassionate child. The next morning, after a sleepless night filled with excited conversations and worried planning, the Martinez family found themselves in an unmarked government vehicle driving toward an undisclosed location outside the city. Tommy pressed his face against the window, watching the landscape change from suburban neighborhoods to dense forest. Agent Chen sat in the front seat, speaking quietly into a secure radio. Falcon Base, this is Transport 1. We're 10 minutes out with the package and family. Copy, Transport 1. Landing zone is prepared and secure. Tommy's heart pounded as they turned onto a dirt road that led to what looked like a military compound hidden among the trees. High fences topped with razor wire surrounded several buildings, and guards in uniform waved their vehicle through multiple checkpoints. This is a joint task force facility, Agent Rodriguez explained. It was created specifically for situations like this. First contact scenarios. They parked near a large, cleared area that looked like a helicopter landing pad, but much bigger. Scientists and military personnel were setting up equipment around the perimeter, and everyone seemed excited but professional. "When will they arrive?" Tommy asked, his voice shaking slightly with anticipation. Agent Chen checked her watch. "Any minute now." As if summoned by her words, the air above the clearing began to shimmer. Tommy watched in amazement as space itself seemed to bend and twist, revealing the outline of something massive becoming visible. The Xanathi shuttle materialized before their eyes, a sleek vessel about the size of a school bus, but shaped like a teardrop made of silver light. It descended silently, without any visible propulsion system, and settled gently onto the landing pad. A section of the ship's hull simply faded away, creating an opening where none had been visible before. Three figures emerged, moving with the graceful, deliberate steps Tommy remembered from Kelvarin. The alien diplomat looked much better than he had the day before. His pale blue skin had a healthy shimmer, and his large eyes were bright and alert. He wore robes that seemed to shift color subtly in the sunlight, and around his neck was a device that looked like a crystal pendant. Kelvarin approached Tommy and his family, flanked by two other Xanathi who appeared to be younger. When he was a few feet away, he touched the crystal device at his throat and spoke. "Tommy Martinez," he said, and Tommy was startled to hear the words in perfect English, though Kelvaran's lips moved in different patterns. "I owe you my life." The boy found himself speechless, but Kelvaran continued with a warm smile that was remarkably similar to a human expression. "Yesterday, you showed me something beautiful about your species. You did not hesitate. You did not calculate the risk to yourself or worry about the strangeness of helping someone different from you. You simply saw a being in need and acted with compassion." Tommy finally found his voice. "Anyone would have done the same thing." Kelvaran's large eyes sparkled with something that might have been amusement. "No, young Tommy, not anyone. Compassion that transcends species barriers is rare in the galaxy. It is the mark of a civilization worth knowing." He gestured toward his ship. "My colleagues and I would be honored to show you wonders beyond your current imagination. But more than that, we would like you to understand what your actions have set in motion." Tommy looked at his parents, who nodded encouragingly, and then back at Kelvarin. "What do you mean?" "Your world is about to change," the alien diplomat said softly. "And because of what you did yesterday, it will change for the better. You have proven that humanity is ready to take its place among the stars." As they walked toward the shimmering alien ship, Tommy realized that his life had indeed been altered forever. But it wasn't just his life. It was the future of the entire human race. And it had all started with a simple choice to help someone in need. Stepping aboard the Xanathi shuttle felt like entering a dream made of light and impossible geometry. The interior walls seemed to glow with their own soft radiance, and surfaces curved in ways that Tommy's eyes couldn't quite follow. Everything felt solid under his feet, but the materials looked like captured starlight. "The walls are made of crystallized energy," explained one of Kelvarin's companions, a younger Xanathi who had introduced herself as Lyralay. She spoke through the same translation device, but her voice had a musical quality that made even technical explanations sound like poetry. "They respond to thought and emotion, creating environments that promote peace and healing." Tommy's parents stayed close to him, their eyes wide with wonder and just a touch of protective concern. Agent Chen and Agent Rodriguez followed behind, documenting everything with special recording devices that the Xanathi had approved. "Please sit wherever feels comfortable," Kelvarin said, gesturing to what appeared to be empty air. As soon as Tommy approached, a chair-like structure flowed up from the floor, perfectly shaped for his body. His parents and the agents found similar accommodations appearing for them. "Tommy," Kelvarin began, his large eyes focusing intently on the boy. "Before we show you what lies beyond your world, I want you to understand what yesterday truly meant. The alien diplomat touched a section of the wall, and the entire space around them transformed. Suddenly, they seemed to be floating in space, surrounded by stars and distant galaxies. Tommy gasped and instinctively reached for his mother's hand, even though he could still feel the solid floor beneath his feet. "This is the Milky Way galaxy as we see it," Kelvaran explained, "home to billions of stars and countless worlds. For the past 1,000 years, the Xanathi Collective has been exploring these stars, searching for species that might one day join the greater galactic community." The display zoomed in on various star systems, showing planets with different colored skies, strange moons, and cities built from materials Tommy couldn't identify. "We have found many intelligent species," Lyreley continued. "Some are peaceful but lack the courage to help others. Some are brave but cannot control their aggression. Others are wise but show no compassion for those different from themselves. The combination of wisdom, courage, and compassion is extremely rare," added the third Xanathi, an older being named Zorveth, whose skin had streaks of silver through the blue. "Most species must develop for thousands of years before they achieve this balance." Tommy found his voice. "But humans aren't that old as a species, are we?" Kelvaran's expression showed what might have been surprise. "No, you are not. In galactic terms, humanity is very young. That is what makes your species so remarkable." The display changed to show Earth from space, beautiful and blue against the star-filled darkness. Then it zoomed in to show scenes from human history. People helping each other during disasters, doctors treating patients regardless of their background, individuals standing up for those who couldn't protect themselves. "We have been observing your species for several generations," Kelvaran explained. "We have seen your capacity for both cruelty and kindness. We needed to determine which aspect would define humanity's future." "Yesterday," Lyreley said softly, "a child made that determination for us." Tommy felt overwhelmed. "But I just did what anyone should do." "Exactly," Zorveth said with approval. "You acted according to your moral instincts, not because of reward or recognition. You saw a being in distress and helped him despite the fact that he was clearly not human. That showed us that humanity can extend compassion beyond the boundaries of species." The starfield display faded, and the walls returned to their gentle glow. Kelvaran leaned forward in his flowing chair. "Tommy Martinez, your actions have earned humanity an invitation to join the Galactic Collective. Your species will no longer be alone in the universe." Tommy's father spoke up. "What does that mean?" "Exactly." "It means," Kelvaran replied, "that Earth will receive aid in solving your environmental challenges, access to technologies that will improve life for everyone, and protection from less peaceful species that might threaten your world." "But most importantly," Lyreley added, "it means that humans will have the opportunity to explore the stars and meet other civilizations that share your values." Agent Chen leaned forward. "What would be expected of humanity in return?" "Simply to continue being what you are at your best," Zorveth answered. "To serve as an example that young species can achieve wisdom and compassion quickly when they choose to embrace their better nature." Kelvaran stood and moved to another section of the shuttle. "Tommy, there is something else we would like to offer you specifically." The wall he touched became transparent, revealing a view of space that took Tommy's breath away. But this wasn't just the view from Earth's orbit. This was something far more spectacular. In the distance, a massive structure hung among the stars. It looked like a city made of crystal and light, with spires that stretched for miles and gardens that somehow flourished in the vacuum of space. Ships of various designs moved around it like fish in a cosmic reef. "This is Harmony Station," Kelvaran explained. "It serves as a meeting place for all member species of the Galactic Collective." Representatives from dozens of worlds come here to share knowledge, culture, and friendship. Tommy stared at the station in wonder. It's beautiful. We would like to invite you to visit Harmony Station, Lyrelai said. Not immediately. You are still young and have much to learn. But when you turn 18, if you choose, you could serve as one of Earth's first ambassadors to the galactic community. Tommy's mother gripped his hand tighter. 6 years from now? Time enough for Tommy to finish his education and decide if this is truly what he wants, Kelvarin assured her. The invitation has no expiration date, but we believe that someone who showed such instinctive compassion would make an excellent representative of humanity's best qualities. The boy looked around at the incredible technology surrounding him, then at the view of the cosmic city in the distance. Everything he had ever dreamed about was being offered to him. But as exciting as it was, he found himself thinking about something else. What about other kids like me? Tommy asked. Kids who dream about space and meeting aliens? Zorveth made a sound that the translator rendered as pleased laughter. An excellent question. Yes, Tommy, there will be opportunities for many young humans to learn about the galaxy and even visit other worlds. Your species' children show remarkable curiosity and adaptability. In fact, Lyrelai added, we're planning to establish exchange programs with Earth's schools. Students who demonstrate the right combination of intelligence and compassion will have chances to study on Harmony Station and other friendly worlds. Tommy's mind raced with possibilities. And other species would come to Earth too? Yes, Kelvarin confirmed. Cultural exchange benefits everyone. Young beings from different worlds learning together often develop the strongest bonds of friendship. As their visit continued, the Xanathi showed them more wonders. They demonstrated healing technologies that could cure diseases instantly, energy systems that could power entire cities without pollution, and communication devices that made understanding between different species effortless. But what impressed Tommy most wasn't the technology. It was the obvious friendship between the three Xanathi. Despite coming from different regions of their homeworld and having different specialties, they treated each other with respect and genuine affection. They reminded him of the best teachers at his school, the ones who cared more about their students than their subjects. Tommy, Kelvarin said as their visit neared its end, you will return home now to a world that is beginning to change rapidly. There will be challenges as humanity learns to see itself as part of something larger. But remember what you proved yesterday, that the best response to the unknown is compassion, not fear. As they prepared to leave the shuttle, Lyrelai presented Tommy with a small device that looked like a crystalline pendant, similar to their translation devices. This is a communication beacon, she explained. If you ever need to contact us, simply hold it and speak. Your message will reach us anywhere in the galaxy. Tommy accepted the gift with trembling hands. Thank you for everything. Thank you, Tommy Martinez, Zorveth said formally. You have given the galaxy a gift as well, proof that compassion can develop quickly in a young species when it is nurtured by wisdom. As the Martinez family and the agents stepped off the shuttle, Tommy turned back for one last look. Kelvarin stood in the doorway, his large eyes reflecting the afternoon sunlight. Will I see you again? Tommy called out. Sooner than you might think, Kelvarin replied with a smile. The galaxy has become much smaller than it was yesterday. The shuttle faded from view as silently as it had appeared, leaving only a slight shimmer in the air and the memory of impossible wonders. On the drive home, Tommy sat quietly in the back seat, the crystal pendant warm in his palm. Through the car window, he watched the familiar landscape of Earth roll by, but everything looked different now. Every person they passed was a potential ambassador to the stars. Every child playing in a yard might someday walk on alien worlds. His mother reached back and squeezed his shoulder. How do you feel, mijo? Tommy thought about the question seriously. Yesterday, he had been a 12-year-old boy with big dreams and a telescope in his bedroom. Today, he was Earth's first child ambassador to a galactic civilization, carrying technology that could reach across the universe. But more than that, he had learned something important about himself and his species. Humans weren't special because they were strong or smart or technologically advanced. They were special because they could see a stranger in need and act with immediate compassion. "I feel like everything just got bigger," Tommy said finally. "But also like everything important stayed the same." His father smiled at him in the rearview mirror. "What do you mean?" "The universe is full of amazing things and incredible beings," Tommy explained, holding up the crystal pendant so it caught the light. "But the most important thing is still the same as yesterday. When someone needs help, you help them. Whether they're human or alien doesn't matter." As their car pulled into their driveway, Tommy saw that the news vans were gone. Agent Chen had explained that the government would handle media relations for now, giving the Martinez family time to adjust to their new reality. Tommy looked up at the afternoon sky, knowing that somewhere beyond the blue, Kelveran and his friends were preparing to share the news of humanity's acceptance into the galactic community. Soon, people all over Earth would learn that they were no longer alone in the universe. And it had all started with a 12-year-old boy who saw someone in trouble and decided to help. That night, Tommy set up his telescope as he had done countless times before. But now, when he looked at the stars, he knew that some of them were home to friends he hadn't met yet. Friends who were waiting to see what wonderful things humanity would accomplish, now that they knew how large and friendly the universe truly was. The boy who had always dreamed of reaching the stars had discovered that the stars had been reaching back all along, waiting for someone to prove that Earth was ready for friendship. And in the end, the proof hadn't required advanced technology or incredible intelligence. It had only required a willing heart.